always wait 20 seconds so that this thumbnail will be the...
It's the slate.
What's that?
Wait for the slate. That's what they used to say when it was taped.
Yeah, that's before my time. Okay. Back here. Here we go. Get you involved. No. Lamentia.
That's right.
Lamentia. Attorney John Lamentia is here today, and I'm going to tell you, be obscenely close to the microphone, a little bit closer.
Okay. And
because I don't want anybody to not hear you, and I don't want my technical producer to call me names. So I always tell people, you got to get obscenely close, more close than you think. Welcome to the program. Thank you so much for joining us. I already could tell that we're going to have a fun time, and that's really what this is about, to have fun, because it's my show and I want to have fun.
That's right. Thanks for having me. I'm all about the fun.
Very good. We were talking a little bit. I don't want, as I was telling you, I don't want to talk too much about things on the show, because otherwise all the great stuff gets in between, and I'd rather have it on the show. But it kind of, we were talking a little bit about, you're from Chicago, and we're going to get into that, where you went to school, all that stuff. The people you help is really what I'm concerned about, and the type of law that you practice. We have some mutual friends. We talked about our friend Jim Marisi. Mm-hmm. All the Italian lawyers are pretty close.
Pretty tight knit.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And so I figured you'd know Jimmy. And again, he was my attorney when I was hurt. I went to law school, and a gentleman, his name was Tony McMahon. He's an attorney now. I haven't seen Tony in a long time. And he said, you're having this. I couldn't find an attorney to take my case. Because I had a I'm not going to tell the law firm that I was with my workers' comp case. But after my workers' comp case, they're like, do you think I got a case? Third party. Nah, you got nothing. Once an attorney, especially a high-profile attorney law firm, says you haven't got a case, nobody wants to talk to you. It's like, hey, I got this case. Who are you with? Oh, I was with that. Oh,
right, scarlet letter kind of thing.
They don't want to talk to you.
Especially in the Chicago legal community, I find that to be, that could be the case.
And so here I am, I'm injured. I'm like, I was a law student. Now, every law. I'm trying not to talk about what I want to talk about, because we're going to talk about it on the show. But anyway, I was a law student. So what do you want? Law students want to do? They want to sue everybody,
right?
So I thought, my little bit knowledge of the law, I thought, hey, sounds like a third party case to me. And he says, you got to talk to Jim Marisi. He was with another law firm right before he started his own practice, and he listened to me. It was a structural
work act,
yeah,
in which we don't have anymore, yeah, but was really beneficial.
And it was a big part of his practice,
right?
And of course that's the action we brought, and I should say he brought, although we did because it was my name on it.
Yeah.
and so again, he listened to me and weighed and said, yeah, I think you got a case here. So he took the case, and we were in the middle of the case when he started his own practice, and so I was one of his first clients at his new firm, and so I helped christen that, and then as I mentioned to you, after I became an attorney, because Jim had said to me, hey, if you need some place to study for the bar, we have an extra office, and so I just had a child. My wife was working, so I was up all night with the kid, and that's when I did my study. I did it at night, in the middle of the night. Then once I became an attorney, by the time I got there, all his offices were full. Yeah. So he said, so I went to see him. I said, you said you might have it. I saw they're all full. He said, but I got the storage room. And I said, good enough for me.
Wow.
So I took the storage room.
Yeah.
And cleaned it out for me, and I moved in the storage room. As we were there, his practice grew. he needed the storage room, so he built onto the office, and then I got an office with the window because the storage room didn't have a window, and then later on I got the office next door to his. I didn't want to leave. I really liked it there, but again, he's a good friend and helped me a lot. Love the guy. He's been on the show many times.
He was one of Jim was one of the. While I was a trial attorney, I did take a shot at running for office back in 2000. Mm-hmm. I was we had
which office?
A state representative out in it was the 45th district at the time. It's all been redistricted now, but it was a tier 1, and we got support of the speaker at the time. And Jim was one of the first guys who supported me, and I'll never forget it. You don't forget the guys who say, "I know John," and I'll.
So we were just talking that we kind of are on opposite sides on some things.
Sure,
some things. As Jim is a staunch Democrat, you know, he ran for state senator. I supported him.
Right.
I went and knocked on doors. I was there the day of the election, standing out in front of the polling place, giving out his credentials. You know, and so I didn't let that stand in the way of our friendship.
No.
And I thought he would be a good state senator, even though we don't agree on a lot of things.
Right.
You know, so that's the way it used to be.
Right.
You know, that you can disagree on some issues and still support somebody and say, you know, he'd still be a good man to have, representing people.
That's going to look out for your interest. Not everybody is a single issue voter. And good people can get things done, you know, on both sides, and that's important. And we've lost a little bit of that, but we could talk about that.
I agree with that, and I think my own. And I don't mean to put you on the spot or anything. That's why I said I'm not. Although you ran for office, so you're open season,
right?
So
that's
you
right.
put yourself out there. But again, my own experience is, as I mentioned, I'm from Austin. You know, Democrat family, union background, 3rd generation ironworker. Totally union, totally Democrat, growing up, just the way it was, and again, just because people, I don't know where your party is anymore. That's my point, is that I'm not sure even if the people that were staunch Democrats would be, even have a voice in your party anymore. My own opinion. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think. My feeling is party systems become too polarized on both sides, so they're leaving people out like me and you. And we have ideas in the center, in the middle, moderate. I'm fiscally conservative, always have been, but I like to help people also. So it's a pleasure to have a chance to be on your show.
Well, I'm very happy to have you. Again, I could always tell we're going to be just fine. We're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to get to know you. Maybe I'm going to tell you, since it's only been 2 weeks since I stopped by the show, but I've got a lot of calls. Yeah. Also calls saying, hey, we had this Cynthia Peterson on a couple weeks ago. I had a call saying, hey, where can I find that? I got another call from I forget the gentleman's name. It'll come to me, but he's like, I'm looking for a guy to help me with a probate case. And he was on your show. And so it's like, all of a sudden, I said, maybe I should have stopped the show. That's the way it always works. So,
right.
So, but again, I want people to get to know you, and if they have a problem, and you can help them, I want them to say, that's the guy I want. That's the guy I need to help me. And so that's the goal of the show, and also for it to have fun. That's the big one. So whenever Joliet is ready, we will begin the program. Hey, welcome to the program. This is the Trust Radio Network here on AM 560, The Answer, with our technical producer, Joliet Josh. Woohoo! Welcome. Thanks so much for what you do, Joliet. Remember, this is the Trust Radio Network and sponsored by the Law Office of Stephen A. Leahy, PC, and Open Tax Advocates. Open Tax Advocates helps business professionals solve their IRS problems forever. We help them with audits and levies, liens and garnishments, collections, unfiled tax returns, and payroll tax issues. We also help people with mortgage foreclosures, loan modifications, bankruptcy, and other debt-related issues. We're doing a lot of tax planning. So if you are making some money and you have a tax preparer and he never asks you, hey, maybe you should do this or do that, because generally tax preparers don't give you advice, right? They just produce your tax returns. If you're looking for advice and you think you might be able to save some money in tax planning, we've been helping a lot of people do that. So give us a call, 312-664-6649. Again, it's 312-664-6649. Visit us on the web at chicagotaxteam.com. This is the Trust Radio Network, where we introduce you to trusted professionals, people you can trust when you're making important decisions. I say it every week, right? What's the most important decision you're going to make? And nobody wants to make this decision. What lawyer are you going to hire when you need an attorney, right? Most people don't seek out attorneys unless they really need them. And when you really need one, you better have one on. You better be thinking, where can I find one I can trust? And that's why we introduce you to attorneys, trusted professional attorneys that can help you in your time of need. And so today we have we have a guest. Our guest this week is attorney John LaMantia.
Hey, you got it right. I started off on the right foot.
I am from Chicago.
Thanks for having me, Stephen.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, attorney LaMantia. And I want, before we get started, but because I want people to know what you do. First, tell us what you do.
I currently am a managing partner of a plaintiff's personal injury firm in Chicago that represents injured victims from medical negligence exclusively. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, we don't do. Over the course of the years of my practice, I've helped injured persons in other areas of the law, but this firm, we specifically only do medical malpractice cases.
That's a good area of the law.
Yeah,
it's very specialized in the sense that not all attorneys kind of can grasp a lot of the medical. Just as a side, I had a friend of mine who's an attorney, and he had a trial, and the doctor couldn't make it, so he wanted me to come in and read the deposition for the jury. I'm gonna tell you, I butchered so much of that. I'll never make a doctor. I can't produce. I don't know any of that stuff. But again, that's why it takes a special person to represent people in these medical malpractice cases. Yeah,
when I was I have a good friend that reminds me, we've known each other since second grade. And he said, John, I'll never forget when we were graduating 8th grade and people were asking, what are you going to do? And my answer was, I'm going to be a doctor and a lawyer. That was my ambitious take on it there. And so all these years later, I never went to medical school, but I've always had an interest in the medical aspects that involve the law. And so I've had the opportunity to defend doctors. I've been on the defense side. Now I'm back on the plaintiff side doing this.
Okay, well, I think that's interesting that you've been on both sides, because so many don't. You mentioned that. Did you always want to be an attorney then?
I'll tell you what. It was. I almost predestined that for my path, I think. So I'm a Chicago boy, born in Chicago at Columbus Hospital. My parents are Italian and Polish in the community. They both went to Harrison High. My dad was living on Taylor Street. My mom was from Pilsen. So
I love that Chicago mix. I just love it.
It's born into that, and my folks ended up splitting a little later. My mother remarried, and then we moved up to Rogers Park. So I grew up in Rogers Park, came back down to high school at St. Ignatius in high school, and I will say at that point, I started thinking the law might be for me. And I was not very good in math, terrible in science. So I became an English major in college, went out to New York and studied in college, and I loved it. English and philosophy. What can I do with that? I said, well, you could be a teacher, you could carry on and go to law school. So that's what I did.
I think that now Josh will know why I'm asking this question. Did you watch a lot of Perry Mason?
I not as much, but I'll tell you what I do now. It puts me to sleep. 'Cause it's that black and white. It's that soothing television. It comes on at 10:30, right at the time that you're trying to knock out.
So Josh knows because it's like every week in a row, someone will say, I watched a lot of Perry Mason whenever I asked that question, because I ask that question every week.
Yeah,
I watched a lot of Perry Mason. So that's why I asked you.
Perry had it easy. Come on, he had it easy.
Della did most of the work.
Right, exactly.
Just like all the assistants.
Yeah.
They do most of the work. Or people from John Marshall do most of the work,
well,
in my own opinion.
I believe that too. Okay, I'm with you on
that. These are the working attorneys.
The working lawyers are.
I have to agree with you. I was asking, I was asking about you. You went to, as we just mentioned, you went to John Marshall, which is now whatever it is. I forget, it's UIC.
Yeah, UIC.
So, and I should know, since I have two sons there.
Oh.
Yeah. And so both my sons are in law school. And so I always ask, I like to ask, I don't know if we have enough time, but maybe we'll go into the next segment. What kind of advice would you have for kids in law school? I don't want to call them kids. I now call them my sons.
Sure.
So,
yeah. Well, I'm fortunate that my oldest daughter went to law school.
Is that right?
She's a new lawyer. She's been out for a couple of years now, and she's and all I told her was, if you can't talk somebody out of it, because people say, why would you want to put your daughter through all that anxiety and stress and tough be about it? It's like, well, when you can't talk somebody out of it, then they're meant for it. And so for school, keeping up with one bit of advice I'd have for law students that I did not take is I didn't trust all my colleagues. In law school, you got to learn to trust who's in the chili with you doing all this, because you're going to miss things in your notes that you can get from someone else. And so
let me interrupt you.
Sure.
I love that. In the chili with you. I've never heard that before. So that's a very so. Yeah. And now my son Joe, he cuts all these all of our video up for these interviews. So Joe, pay attention. Use that. They're in the chili with you. I like that.
Right.
So sorry.
They're
I'm sorry.
Cooking. That's law school. They're cooking you in the chili. They're they're breaking you down to build you back up. Don't fight it, because they're trying to teach you how to critically think and apply, look at all the fact scenarios, apply the evidence, and everything we learned in law school. I wish I wouldn't have fought it that so hard. I didn't like the Socratic method. I thought I was an academic. I loved college. I loved studying liberal arts and the classics. And then you get to law school and they tell you you don't know anything. And they're right in a sense.
And they are right in
a
sense. Yeah. I had that same. I was a finance major. So, with finance, it's like, 2 + 2 always equals 4, it's like, it's always the same. And then, so I tried to apply, and I became a very good student. And so I tried to use that in law school, and it just didn't work, because 2 + 2 in law school doesn't always equal 4.
Right.
And they got to argue why it might equal 5, and why it might be 4, why it might be 3, why it might be 7, why it might not even have an answer. know? And that's something that I had to learn.
Yeah, me too. I had to learn to be told that I'm not right. So that's something I didn't take so well as a kid, and then but I've learned.
So, I think that's very good advice. Now, you said your daughter is an attorney. Is she practicing attorney?
Yeah, I'm real proud of Allie. She's she also went to John Marshall, and
that's a Chicago lawyers school.
It is, especially if you want to be a litigator. So she's working for a firm called Dinos & Young, and they do auto defense for State Farm and some Hanover Insurance. And they're giving her trial by fire, like I was lucky to have her. Giving her files, she's doing her depositions and learning on her feet. So it's very proud of it.
That's the only way to learn. So.
Yeah.
If so, you help people who are injured. Oh, actually, medical malpractice. How can people find you?
Well, they can. Our easiest place is our website is www.malpracticeteam.com. And it's one word, malpracticeteam.com. Our local phone number is 312-993-5750. Again, I'm John LaMantia. I'm the managing partner. If you have any questions about any medical negligence we do have a concentration in birth injury, and I can explain that as we go on.
Well, we'll do that.
Yeah.
So thanks. So Attorney John LaMantia is here. He's been telling us about his practice, helping people with medical malpractice. Remember, though, the show is sponsored by Open Tax Advocates. Open Tax Advocates helps business professionals solve IRS problems forever. Call them, 312-664-6649. We're going to take a little bit of a break. Join us on the other side with Attorney LaMantia here on AM 560. The Answer. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's great. How much do you tape? Like 3, 15, 10 minutes?
5 segments.
5 segments.
Yeah, so
I might need some water.
Let me get you. I always get water for you. And I forgot. So, I gotta say, Josh, I am going with the flow. You see how I did that? My son would always get on me because I used to do this on the second segment. I would talk about law school and advice and stuff. I would do that in the second segment. So if someone started saying something, I'd say, "Hey, wait!"
Right.
But he's like, "Don't do that, Dad.
Yeah.
Put it on the other." So I just go with the flow and let it go.
Well, I'll try to read you. I'll try to.
No, that's fine. I started this a couple weeks ago. Just let you go because I can't because it just kind of goes in the first segment because that's what we're talking about, your background, and it just kind of flows into that, and it's just what it is, and so I stop fighting it and just go with it.
Yeah.
So even sometimes you can learn from your kids.
Well, I'm trying to do that now. Trying to understand these younger generations.
Yeah. Well, let's do it because I got things to say about that. So let's do it. LaMantia. Welcome back. He just told you who I was. I'm Attorney Stephen A. Leahy. We're here with Joliet Josh, our technical producer. Our guest this week is Attorney John LaMantia, and he's a medical malpractice attorney. That's kind of a personal injury attorney. Same, just a specialized. I don't want to say specialized because you can't be a specialized attorney in Chicago, right?
Right.
So
can't advertise.
Can't say you're a specialist, but that's kind of a niche within personal injury because it is a personal injury case.
It is, and I think it also is it all encompassing a lot of different areas. So any encounter you have in healthcare can be subject to mistakes. Whether it's diagnosis, treatment, failure to care or monitor, in between the treatments, what happens to you in the hospital, happens at your doctor. So unfortunately, we're all human. Even the best professionals make mistakes. But when they do, and they injure somebody to their no fault of their own, and there are damages, then these people need a voice. So I give them a voice in the courts.
Well, I think that's it is a noble practice, I have to say. And we've had a lot of personal injury attorneys and again, to the person, they really are concerned about their clients. I know that there's this perception of attorneys that are always out for themselves, and some are, but the good attorneys are really looking out for their clients. Agreed?
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to work, have a career over the course of these 27 years or so, where I've had a chance to do a lot of different areas of the law. I've worked in government, I've worked in the private sector, I've helped injured people, I've defended doctors. So I've always done it with an idea of service. That's what I enjoy about the law. I kind of came up hard scrabble, so I didn't have a chance to make the monetary riches that a lot of lawyers do. So for me, the enrichment I get is, of course, I want to earn a good living. But I also want to leave the end of the day knowing that I did something, left a legacy of something. So that's what we're working on every day.
Well, I think that's important.
Yeah.
You know? So I hate to go back to your family, but your daughter's an attorney. As I said, I have two sons that are in law school. And, we have all these big decisions coming out. And, we won't get into too many. But the joy I get talking to my kids about these decisions, talk a little bit about that. Walk us through that.
Yeah, so I'm blessed to have 4 children. My wife and I, we're coming up on our 30th anniversary.
Well, congratulations.
And so we have 2 of each. I have my 2 daughters and then my 2 sons. My last one is in college. But we all gave them a really good education and a good start. So we have a lot of spirited conversation in the house, whether it's talking about local issues, entertainment issues, politics, of course, religion. We're Italian, so we got to be careful about how we argue. But we
use your hands a lot,
right?
Again, so I have, we get political arguments. They don't always agree with me. I don't know why, but they don't. But it's interesting to have these conversations.
You got to put a $20 bill out of your pocket, like I do. Your kid will agree with you anything.
Stop it! Like they gotta worry about the $20. Right, they're getting it anyway.
Yeah, what's $20 gonna buy you these days anyway, right?
Well, they're gonna get it anyway, so
right.
they know that.
Yeah.
But it's enjoyable. I have 2 sons, and those are I don't have any other children. Have lots of nieces and nephews. Love to talk to them about these things. But it is kind of a joy debating court cases, Supreme Court cases.
Well, yeah, I think I have hope for our future.
As I do.
You have a tendency to have tunnel vision on what your experience was. So when we were growing up, it was the baby boomers that were saying, you guys don't work hard, you don't do this. Well, now we've gone through it. I'm Gen X, and I think we've made our mark in the world. I hope we can continue to not, try to help the general civil society.
Not sure where I stand on that.
Yeah.
If I'm my kids call me a boomer, so I guess.
Did they? You're a tweener. What?
I always tell them, how can I be a boomer? My mom's a boomer.
Right.
How can I be a boomer? Although she had me at a very young age, so that could be.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the thing. The easy thing to do now is label something and call names, right? So, but if you break down and get back to what we were saying, talk about the issues, talk about the decision. There's a lot of nuance. So it doesn't have to be right or wrong. Like today's monumental ruling with the Supreme Court overturning Roe versus Wade. I'm kind of conflicted on that. I do support a woman's right to choice. However, I was raised Catholic. I raised my children Catholic. So there's nuance in different things, and we should trust we have to learn to get back to trusting the Constitution.
Well, I agree with that. I'm a big constitutionalist, and I have to say, my own take on this is it goes back to the states. If you are a pro-choice advocate, go after your legislatures, have them voted on it, and I think that's why I support that decision. Only because it said go back to the states, let everybody decide on it. Have a vote.
It could be, and the devil's advocate would say, from a standpoint that I might hold a little bit, is to say, yes, but when the founders talk about inalienable rights, doesn't that include a woman's right to decide what happens with her body? And then, of course, your argument would be, but what about the baby, the fetus?
And I'm Catholic also.
Yeah,
so it's hard to, if you believe, and that's why, let's just say, if you believe life begins at conception, as I do, and again, you could debate it or whatever it is, but if that's what I believe, it's hard for me to say, well, then it's okay.
Yeah.
So, but again, that's not even want to go there about when life begins. Now it's been to legislatures, let them decide. I know here in Illinois which way they're going to go.
Right.
I know which way they're going to go. They're not going to be imposing any restrictions on abortion here in Illinois. So that's the way the legislature works.
Yeah, state sovereignty is a real important part of what we learn in law school. And what I try to explain to people when you get in these Twitter arguments with people and try to say,
I try not to do that anymore.
Right, yeah, but I will say it is more enriching to have these discussions with your kids And we find a way to do it that makes it. I learned something from their perspective too. All the time.
All the time. And they challenge me.
Sure.
And so if I say something, because some of us, we all have some things that we're kind of blind to,
right,
about why we believe what we believe, and that's why sometimes it's good to go on the other side and listen to because maybe you just believe what you believe because you believe it, and so when someone challenges you and you're forced to say why, and then make you think in your own, let's think about that.
Yeah, I mean, we should, one of the things that we try to remember is that we all are part of the human condition. So we all have biases that we were born with, whether it's around your own kitchen table, what your ma and your pa said, and how this, we acquire these biases. And as long as people are open to inform their own, what their knowledge is about a subject or an issue, I'm open to talk to them. I think that's what makes it good.
I asked you this. I know we're running out of time, and we probably don't have time to do a thorough. But I asked you this before the show started: whether you were a litigator or a trial attorney. Which one are you?
Yeah, it's a good distinction. When you're on the defense side, we call us litigators. I'm a trial attorney. Trial attorneys generally like to mark themselves as the white hats that are running into court and trying to convince a jury to give them damages and money. So I'm a trial attorney. I've been lucky to be both, but I will say my entire career has been as a trial attorney litigator. My entire 28 years.
Well, thanks for splitting the baby.
Yeah, right. I gave a real Chicago answer there.
Actually, that was a very good answer and I'd like that distinction between defense and plaintiffs.
Well, I guess I can do it a little tighter. I can tell you that the reason we say we're trial attorneys is I only get my results in front of a jury.
Yeah.
Corporate litigators can get their results in front of a bench. They can do mediations. They can settle cases.
Settlement.
Yeah.
Tell people how they can find you.
www.malpracticeteam.com is our website, and we are birth injury and medical malpractice attorneys. Our local number is 312-993-5750.
And again, I think it's important that people understand when they have these particular issues, who are they going to call? Well, they should call you.
Yeah, we always give free consultations, and I'm happy to review records to determine if a family or an individual has a case.
Attorney John LaMantia. He's going to join us here. We're going to take a break here. At the other side, we're going to do a Constitution segment. So Attorney LaMantia has picked an issue. You won't want to miss that. Okay, so we're going to take a break. Join us on the other side here on AM 560. The Answer. I was a little early on that one.
Are the spots timed? You got to hit them.
Yeah, that's his job.
Yeah. He hasn't yelled at you yet. No?
He doesn't yell at me, but he does. Then he has to play with the timing and make it work. Because sometimes I go over. Because I don't want to interrupt anybody. And if I haven't found a good way to say, stop now. Okay, I got to do. I'm
trying to keep mind on it.
I usually need about 25 seconds
to get out.
Yeah.
Okay,
because then I do my own. My own plug.
Okay, you gotta get your. This is why you do the show.
That's exactly correct.
I told you I know enough about this to be dangerous. So you just tell me what.
That's what I say. And I'm dangerous as hell.
You can kick me. This and kick me here. It's time to hit the post, as we say, right?
Whenever you're ready, there, Joliet. Well, thank you so much for that, Ronnie. This is the Trust Radio Network here on AM 560, The Answer. We're joined today by, first, our technical producer, Jolly Josh. I never want to forget him. He'll cut me off. And our guest this week is Attorney John LaMantia. Attorney LaMantia, I always ask our guests to pick something in the Constitution to talk about. What'd you choose today?
Well, not knowing that the Supreme Court was going to overturn Roe v. Wade today and steal all the thunder, I actually selected a local Illinois constitutional issue that affects taxpayers that have injury litigation cases. And it's being hotly debated in the state with some of the finest trial attorneys arguing on both sides. So it's an interesting statute.
Well, tell us what it is.
Yeah, well, back in July of 2021, our legislature made an amendment to an Illinois statute that from July 21st or July 1st of 2021 on, that statute would award victims that have personal injury cases pre-judgment interest for the entire life of the case from the time it is filed until it is resolved. And if the plaintiff wins the case. So what that means to people that have personal injury cases is one of the biggest issues we face in Illinois is the defense attorneys used to use it as a strategy to not negotiate, not want to settle, which is their right. They can defend their case. But there was an inordinate amount of time, especially in Cook County. Cases were taking 4, 5, 6 years to get through the court system. So this prejudgment interest basically says put your cards on the table. If you got a winning hand, you have a right to defend it. But if you're just trying to delay this, we're going to award the plaintiffs prejudgment interest. That could be substantial. If you have a 6-figure case, you're an accountant also. You understand.
6 years later. That's
right.
That's always with taxes, right? When they start hitting you the penalties, and that's what really gets you. It's the time of the interest.
Yeah, so this statute sent shockwaves through the legal community and litigation community in Illinois. Defense bar started fighting it and filing motions, and it's been contested in the courts. Different circuits have upheld the statute, other ones have denied it. But recently, Judge Maris in Cook County, and everybody looks to Cook County, it's the biggest county, Judge Maris made a decision in May of this year to say that the statute is unconstitutional because the provision of providing damages to injured persons that they haven't earned from a jury is unconstitutional.
Can I interrupt you?
Sure.
When you say unconstitutional, are we talking about the United States Constitution or the state Constitution?
Actually, both, because the state constitutions no state constitution can violate our U.S. Constitution, as we learned. So any of the constitutional provisions, the two areas of constitutional law that this brings into are a person's right to a jury trial. So meaning the defense have a right to say, I didn't do it. Why should I be paying prejudgment interest until case is heard by a jury? Also, the second area is due process, that you shouldn't be able to just tack on damages to somebody who hasn't been heard in court yet. So there are a couple different areas of the Constitution this affects locally in the state of Illinois. So now with Judge Maris' decision, it is going to go up to the state Supreme Court. And some of the best attorneys are on both sides fighting it, and it's going to be very interesting to see what comes down. It'll be wherever it lands, it will create a whole new, different way to do cases.
It's interesting because of your background that you could kind of see it from both sides, isn't that right?
Yeah. Like I said, half my career has been defending lawsuits, personal injury lawsuits as well. I used to work for the Board of Education. I defended their lawsuits. Worked in local government. So I've seen the effect of somebody filing what we think is a frivolous lawsuit, trying to cash in. I understand that side. Mm-hmm. But on the injured person side, I also, too, understand that the tactics the defense is used to basically hold the finish line.
I've seen a lot of that in that, they kind of starve you out.
Yeah.
Right? And right. The same thing with workers' comp is like they fight it. How you're going to go back to work, or you're going to starve to death.
Well, there's also an economic incentive. Defense attorneys get paid by the hour. They bill. They're on the clock. So everything they do in a case is compensated. On our side, the plaintiff side, we take cases on contingency. So we're not paid till the end. So until we get the ball in the end zone, to use a football analogy or however analogy you want to say it, we don't get paid. So that's why we work. We provide our clients these free consultations.
This is our guest today is John LaMantia, attorney John LaMantia. He helps people with medical malpractice, personal injury. Thanks so much for sharing your insight there. Tell people how they can find you.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. Find us at www.malpracticeteam, all one word, malpracticeteam.com or 312-993-5750.
I love talking the Constitution with attorneys, and I hope you enjoyed listening. So we're going to do that again next week, remember. This is the Trust Radio Network here on AM 560. The Answer. I used to play that segment on both the shows, because I really like that. I like to promote you on that other show. I got to stop thinking that I have another show.
What, you used to do one just for the tax?
I did one called the Irs Radio Hour. That was actually my first. I
remember. I've heard that one.
That's actually been that was my first show, and we started this one about 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
I was going to say, because I stopped my commuting, but I was in the car a lot, and I've heard your show. Heard you, Hochberg, heard all the guys.
Yeah, I'm a big Hochberg fan.
Yeah,
I'm on his show fairly often.
He was one of the first. I think he's a trailblazer to learn how to do radio right as a businessman. I mean, he did it.
I agree,
and he's done it 3 different times. He's reinvented himself.
I have to say, I'm a big. He may be watching. He watches the show sometimes, so he knows. I'm a big David fan. So
yeah, I am too.
I always tell him he's my marketing guru.
Right. I mean, he knows how to do it.
He does. And the WGN, he always wanted to make it to WGN, and he did. And it's been very successful.
Well, and it takes a little. You've got to have an interest in this too. It's got to be a hobby. It's like, this is why somebody says come on the radio. I don't have anxiety about it because I love being on a mic. I'm a guitar player. I love playing.
Oh, that's true.
So
that's
it's, to me, it's natural. So I enjoy this stuff.
Maybe we could let's talk a little bit about that, because I think that's interesting. Because it is. Let's do it, Joliet. Welcome back to the show. This is the Trust Radio Network on AM 560. The Answer, here with Joliet Josh. And our guest this week is attorney John LaMantia. And attorney LaMantia, I when I was looking for pictures of you to put on for the show, I noticed that you do you're in a band.
Yeah, way before I became a lawyer, people ask me at cocktail parties, well, how long have you played guitar as a hobby? I was like, no, I do law as a hobby. I was lucky to get
the law pays better.
Yeah, it sure does. And I started playing when I was a young guy, 10 years old, and started my first band when we were 15. I've been in several bands, been lucky to play, open up for some big acts in town, played all the big music houses over the years. So I've had a nice career. I've released I'm a songwriter.
Right?
Yeah, songwriter too. So I do that. I don't have as much time these days running a law business, running this practice, because we want to make sure it takes a lot of extra time. But I always find time to play guitar.
Well, that's interesting. And again, we were talking a little bit about because my hobby is radio. So and again, it helps so much. Not as in front of a jury, right? Sometimes people get nervous, but it's kind of all the same thing. You're kind of up in front of people, talking or performing.
Yeah, there's not that much of a, people say, wow, what a contrast. It's like, no, they actually feed right into each other. My job is to persuade people for a living, whether it's the judge or a jury or my client or my opposing counsel. And when I'm slinging a guitar in a little juke joint and you got a bunch of people there and they want to hear some Chuck Berry or they want to hear your song, your job is to persuade them, tell them that, give them a good time with the music.
Well, I'm a big music fan myself, and I had to say, it's really about the music you choose for a band, how they're going to be successful. You could be, there's some great musicians, but they pick the wrong song. It's just not a good time at night. What kind of music are you playing?
Yeah, well, I grew up enjoying basic the depths of the history of rock and roll. So, of course, I started out as an Elvis, Chuck Berry fan, Johnny Cash, Sun Studios. I've loved Chicago blues my whole life. But then I kind of fell into the Beatles. And so I've been a real devotee of rock and roll all the way through. And I'd say people have described our music as more like heartland rock and roll, or some people call it alt country. There's a little bit of rockabilly in there. There's some soul. Van Morrison's a good comparison. Some early Bruce Springsteen. That's the kind of music I play.
All good stuff.
Yeah.
All good stuff. And again, it's all about the music that you choose. And it's about, and I wanted to just tie that into with what you do, because it's kind of all the same thing.
I'm going to give you the second shameless plug. And the shameless plug is my band is called the Lamentia Brothers, and you can see us at plenty of establishments around the city of Chicago. We have a Facebook page, and you can find us. And our next show is going to be in July out in the Berwyn area, but we're playing all the time.
Is that good? That's great. That's happy to plug that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to follow you, because it sounds like the kind of band that I like to go see. And again, it's not always about. I don't know what great musician you are or not. I don't. But it doesn't always take a great musician. It's really, again, as I mentioned, it's really about the songs you pick and getting people involved, right? Because what the crowd really wants is just to hear songs that they know.
Well, and of course, we're at a unique time in history too, Steve. It's not like you and I grew up with some of the best, I think, the greatest music of all time, all the decades. But then we had this pandemic. Now people are just getting used to being comfortable in live music scenarios, and I felt bad for the musicians, but we're here, and I think I see it coming back now, so I feel good about that.
Well, that is good, and it is true that they took a big hit. And I know Congress tried to shovel money their way, but that wasn't all. It's always not about money, although that you got to make a living.
Yeah, musicians just want to play their songs, and forever all entertainers are like this. They of course want to get compensated fairly, and I think that the other side of the issue, I do, as the National Endowment for the Arts can support artists and help, but artists really don't want handouts. They want to play their music.
I agree with that. And so now get back to what you're doing. Tell people before, because we're going to run out of time, and I want people to understand what you do for a living.
Yeah,
and the people that you help, because I want people out there to hear it. Say, yeah, I know that, I have that. Where do I go? So tell people the kind of people you help and what kind of cases you help people.
Yeah, so we are the Chicago office of a national firm. The main office is in Baltimore, and years ago those partners got this niche of doing birth injury cases, and our firm has obtained the largest verdicts in the country for birth injury to families where a mom may have a compromised prenatal situation, or something happens during delivery, something happens post. And as you can imagine, these are catastrophic injuries. The child's going to need help for the rest of their life. And if it can be pointed out that a medical mistake caused it, those people deserve representation. So we represent those. We represent botched surgeries, misdiagnosis, anything that can happen in a healthcare scenario where a person is injured or comes out on the other side of whatever medical procedure, not the same. You give us a call. We'll review the case, investigate it for free, look at the medical records, give it to expert consultants. And if you have a case, we'll prosecute it as hard as we can.
I want you to mention that again about the medical people who look at these cases, right? Because I know you have a vast experience, and so you know that, but you need experts to know what's going on here, right?
It's actually the law. You have to have a certificate by a medical physician that certifies that there's a meritorious case, as they reviewed it.
Very interesting. Tell people how they can find you.
Yeah, thanks. We are at www.malpracticeteam.com. Phone number is 312-993-5750.
You're going to give my number. Remember, if you're fighting the IRS, go to chicagotaxteam.com. Give us a call. Open Tax Advocates, 312-664-6649. We're going to take another break. We're going to come back on the other side with Attorney John LaMantia. You got to join us here on AM 560, The Answer.
Yeah, these segments go quicker than you think.
Yeah,
you gotta.
I hope you don't mind. I went that way with your music thing.
Oh no, I love talking. The problem is I don't want to. Yeah, I want to use the opportunity. I'm trying to build the practice. The Baltimore firm's got 20. They're like a big Corbo and Demetrio here. In Chicago, where they want to invest in it. So if they're signing the checks, I'll do whatever they want me to do. I'm the backslapper. I'm not the guy who's going to run in and do 10-week long trials anymore. I like the shorter ones. I'll take the.
Do you mind if I ask you how old a man are you?
55.
Okay, so you're a young kid. I'm gonna be fit. I'm gonna be 60. So
right around the same time.
Same age.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
That's quite a testament to you and your wife that you got 2 kids that made it to law school.
Well, the whole of it is both my sons went to U of I.
Oh yeah.
They both finished in 2 years.
In what?
They both finished college in 2 years.
Oh my goodness!
And they both got scholarships to law school.
Oh my gosh! Wow, what achievers, man!
And they say your kids are smart. No, they're not that. He's going to listen to this. No, he's not smart, but they are hard workers. So.
Yeah, I'm not smart at all. I'm the best listener in the world though, and I can fake it till.
Well, it's funny because I was talking to Joe. Joe's my youngest son. He's the one that cuts up all the clips, and I was talking to him. I was saying, when I went to law school, I was really taken back by how smart people were in law school, and he said he wasn't. I'm like, oh, man, has law school changed that much, or you're just a really smart kid, and I never noticed it.
It might have been a difference in how we saw our role those days, because you and I understood that the opportunity we were trying to make for ourselves was going to be on our shoulders 100%. We didn't have parents could pay for it.
I was on the pay-as-you-go program.
Yeah, me too. And
they said, back then you could do that. I think you could still do it, but it is harder. I'll grant you.
It is, but they give more.
But here's something I never heard of. I never heard of a law school scholarship.
Yeah, neither did I.
I didn't even know they existed.
My daughter got them too, and I was grateful because I told her I'd help her as much. I didn't want her to have the loans, but I think maybe there. I still think the level of lawyer coming out. Of course, it's there's always difference and changes. Of course, my hardest task is to get people to come into the office 5 days a week. That's what we want. Everybody wants to work in their flip flops at home now. I'm fine with some of that, but
I go to the office every day and 4 days every day because I was there today too.
I'm sorry, it's my phone.
No, that's fine.
Can I take this real quick?
Sure.
This might
sure.
Hello.
Remember, we're on though, so don't. There we go. He turned it off.
Okay, Carrie. Yes, there are just the plumbing supply company down the block on Lake Street. I'm changing out a P-trap and a toilet bowl, and they said I just needed to inform you guys. They deliver to the building all the time, and they just said, tell Kendrick or somebody that we're going to drop it off at 9, and I can come down and pick it up or whatever we need to do. I can do that. I think so. Yeah, I think so. That's the time. I don't mind leaving. Yeah, I mean, we can. Yeah. Yeah, it should be a one trip, but yeah, I'll be sensitive to whatever's going on. Okay, Carrie. Oh. No, thanks for all you do. We appreciate it. Okay, sorry. I'm in the condo building. Got a bum toilet. I got to plumb my
200 West South.
We're 165 North Canal.
North Canal. Oh, that's your home though.
It's my home.
I'm talking about.
Yeah,
where's your
office? LaSalle and Monroe, like down near the border trade over there.
Okay. Okay. So, I wanted to. I don't know if you saw that my thumbnail here. So,
I like it. Yeah.
So I have a medical law thing. See, there's a stethoscope there. So.
Oh, yeah, right. Very nice. Nice touch. And you got the firms, because the firm's a mouthful. I don't want to keep saying the name, because we go by the malpractice. I can give the 7 names.
No, that's fine. You're not on one, so I don't want to hear
right.
it.
Yeah, right. Just ask for Johnny Law. I tell people, like, I can't remember these names. Like, just call me and ask for Johnny Law.
I love that moniker.
You got to be your local. Everything's, especially in Chicagoland, that's how you build your reputation. People come to you not because what you call your business, how you do it. They want you.
It's absolutely true, and that's and that's what's been. Well, let's talk about that. Let's do that. Because as I get older, it's better.
Well, right. My kid says, "Why don't I get referrals?" I'm like, "You don't have a gray hair yet. You'll get there."
Hey, welcome back to the show. We're here with attorney John LaMantia and Joliet Josh. See, I gave you the head there. He had to take the back seat that time. Sorry about that, Joliet. He cut my mic.
I don't have the dump button. He's got the dump button. So.
He said, "I'll never do that again. I promise." Again, welcome back to the program, attorney LaMantia. We were talking a little bit about because you've been an attorney for some time. I started later in life, but I've still been an attorney now for some years, and I know that you're the managing partner at that law firm, aren't you?
Yeah.
So how many lawyers you got working for you?
A couple. We're smaller right now. We're building. So in throughout the other offices, there's about 20 attorneys based in the firm. Some of the Baltimore lawyers, they come back and forth to Chicago. There's a big case. Mm-hmm. Do cases all over the state, by the way. So we got Rockford. I'm always riding the circuit, and that's a lot of fun. I still enjoy that. But I've got 2 associates now. I'm actually going to be growing and hiring more because business has been, we're taking a lot of cases.
That's good and bad because it's bad because you help people who have been injured.
Yeah.
It's never good to have injured people, but people who are injured need help.
Yeah.
And they need the right kind of help. And I think that's, so again, bad because people get hurt. Good that they have people like yourself helping them. So that's good. Yeah,
it's been very rewarding to help families, especially when you see what's happened to some of these kids. And if you have people don't know the medical world is there's a lot of mystery, and by rights because it's very difficult. So people don't know they have a gut feeling something went wrong, but they don't know until they have a good lawyer that's willing to investigate and go all the way for them.
I think that's so important what you just mentioned about investigating because. Too often people get shut down, and I think we were talking about my own experience in that you go to an attorney and say, "Hey, this might happen," and they don't even want to talk to you about it. It's like, you got nothing there, and without even knowing. So it's so important to have the right guy who's wants to at least listen,
right,
and find out. Maybe not. So because slam dunk cases are easy,
right? Well, I won't listen. I've developed a couple rules over the years. One is. You can start to tell me about your case if we're at the Christmas party or at the cocktail party, but I'm going to usually stop you and say, I would be happy to help you, just not here.
Sure, I agree with that.
Because you do need the time. It's hard to. People think that they can convince you. This is what happened to me, and of course they're passionate because it's their own life. But until you can bring that's part of the reason we are attorneys. You bring the objective sense.
I'm sorry that we didn't have more time today because I really wanted to talk about your experience with Eddie Verdoliak. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that, but we're not going to have the time to talk about it. Maybe we'll have to get you on again and we'll talk about that. And I love to talk to Chicago attorneys about Chicago.
Yeah.
And Eddie, of course, Eddie Verdoliak is he's also one of my radio heroes because he had the radio show with Ty and Eddie that I listened to every day, when he was on. So one day we'll have to get back. So this is attorney John LaMantia. I want to thank you so much for being on the show. Sorry we ran out of time. We'll have to do it again.
Yeah, I got lots to tell you about. I've got some fun stories. I've been fortunate to work for some great people, and I love Chicago.
Well, thanks so much. This is the Trust Radio Network. We're going to be here next week at 7 o'clock. You don't want to miss the show. This is a great show, and we're going to have Attorney John LaMantia on another time. Thanks again.
That's great. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, man.
Hold on. Well, I always know when I had fun when it goes by so quickly. I don't get to ask you all the questions I wanted to, and I don't even get into some areas. That's because you threw me some curveballs about your music career and all this other stuff.
Well, I hope it wasn't too long-winded.
No. That's again. I love again that makes it so much more fun, to learn about you. And I think we were talking a little bit about it, right? It's really about you, what you do. But better that people get to know you than the statute that you're going to use to help them.
Yeah, and I'm in a good spot right now because I don't really have to market for business. We're getting the business. So if I'm happy to just come on and talk about the stories. I like the idea of the show. I like the show. I like being part of the show. So if you want to have me on every other year or something like that,
we can do it for that. But again, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I love to have attorneys on from Chicago. And okay, so I don't know. Do you remember how I found you?
I don't.
Okay, so let me tell you how I found you. My nephew used to be my producer. He used to produce for me, so he'd go out and find some. When we started the Trust Radio Network. We did a lot of sponsors, so people on David Hochberg's show that I know, Permaseal, go down to Mr. Floor, these guys who do a lot of advertising that I know because I'm on the show with them.
Right.
So I'd get them on the show. We did a lot of that. Had some attorneys, but Jim, who's my nephew, he got some great attorneys on for, but hard for him to find them.
Right.
So it came. He stopped. He started another avenue in his life, so he stopped doing the show with us. And then, so at the beginning of this last year, I had all January, everything open. I had no guests booked because now I got to do it myself. Let someone else do it.
Yeah.
But so I do some CLE. So I'm at Apex.
Yeah,
CLE.
yeah. Okay, that's it, right.
And so I'm going down the list. I'm thinking, look, because I looked at here I'm on the faculty, right? So I'm like, hey, look at all these faculty guys.
That's smart. Shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I started going down the list. I got to F. I had already had January, February.
That's awesome.
And sent out some emails. So you're down the list. So that's why you're.
I'm actually overdue. Just go up the block there and do another one of those because I like the deal. They used to throw it all in for you, and you get a couple $100.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't done that in a few years.
I did it some years ago. I did it. My first one, they didn't pay me anything, but then the last couple they have. I'm doing another one June 30th, but not for them. I'm doing it for this Lorman educational group. They do a lot of accountants and stuff.
Nice.
So they contacted me because I did a show once about 1099-Cs, and I guess it's such a
sure.
So they look for someone that knows anything about that maybe could talk about it. And so I was like, oh man, they want me to do like 90 minutes. And I'm thinking, wow, man, that's a long time. 90 minutes on 1099-Cs. So I had to put together a bunch of slides, right? And I started going through it. It's like 90 minutes might not be enough.
Wow.
Quite honest
once you get going,
Now, I have a different view of than they do. Now, it is CLE too, so because as an attorney, I'm going to get CLE for it too. But most of them are going to be accountants and tax preparers and things like that. And but I have a different view of it than them. I'm not going to talk about how we can on your tax return. The numbers. I'll talk about what it's about, how it all works, but a different view. That's all.
Yeah, the planning side. I'm actually interested. I wanted to take down. Remind me where I can find you again on the website.
ChicagoTaxTeam.com.
Yeah, you're on the team too. Somebody, because I was like, how do we decide a malpractice team? I was like, I don't know, ChicagoTaxTeam.com.
It's a team because you got a team.
The reason I want to ask is because I've always, I was in government and I'm a salary for years. But now in this spot, basically the cases are all going to be future investments for me. If I bring the case in and it's going to hit, I need to figure out what to do. I don't have an SCP.
This is what we call.
I don't have this stuff. It's a good problem to have, but I've never had this.
It's a good problem, and it is about planning. Right?
Yeah,
because so I've got this guy.
I don't use anybody.
He came to see me, and he sold his business, right? And after he sold his business, he got whacked. And if I could have done this before, and I would have saved 40% in taxes, but I didn't.
Right.
So you ain't gonna save 40% in taxes.
Right.
So when it came to see, he's like, "Can I?" Last year I could have helped you, but
right?
it's too late. You can't do it.
Yeah,
you can't do it after the fact.
Yeah. Well,
and I was, you mean if I would have just filed this form, I would have saved it? Yeah, that's the way it works.
Wow.
And it seems stupid, but that's the way it works.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah, we've had nice tax accountants. Fleck and Ulick out of Brookfield. They've been around for a long time. They've handled us for years, but they'll tell me what to put aside. They'll get my prepayments lined up, but I need more than that. I need somebody to say,
well, that goes
what's
with
the big picture?
And again, you have to do some planning on it. But anyway, I'm not trying to sell you anything. But
I know. It's something I don't have. I mean, I've not been in those. I've been putting 4 kids through college in private high school.
God bless you.
Yeah, so
God bless you.
I'm getting out of the woods. I'm thinking, these next 10 years are for me. I better figure out what the hell to do.
I wish we could have talked a little bit more about that because, again, the experience I'm having it took me I've been doing the show now 8 years or more, and it's funny because 8 years ago I couldn't have done what I do now.
Right.
So for instance, I just did this event for WLS, and I spoke in front of the event, and it went really well. 8 years ago, I probably couldn't have done it.
Right.
I would have been nervous. I would have been, even though I probably pretend I'm not, I would have been. But again, just being on WGN and all these radio stations, I speak all the time.
Oh yeah,
so
you get.
So it's like what you're saying. I'm up on stage. So to get in front of a jury, it's the same thing.
Well, it's like you actually said it best in our segment that you learn how to read the audience, and if you have a song and now they're dancing, but the next song is the slow numbers. It's like you got to change that song. You got to make. You always got to be reading.
I agree. I agree because it's how they react, right?
Yeah.
So usually,
it's an art.
I'm gonna tell you, I really don't like bands who say I'm playing what I want to play. It's like, that's nobody's gonna have fun. Right. You're gonna have fun, but nobody's gonna have fun.
Right. Yeah.
But you're right. If people are up dancing, they don't really.
Nobody wants to hear you sit down and tell your girlfriend your high school breakup song on your guitar, even though it still makes you cry. Nobody else is going to
and nobody wants to cry about it anyway. So. Let's end the show there, Joliet. On that note.
Oh, sorry. Did I?
No, we're fine.
I wasn't even on the mic.
That's fine.
Streaming?
We're still streaming, but.